Buenos dias. Buenos dias, buenos dias. What it is, what it was, and what it shall be. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. And tonight is May the 9th, 2022, and time is 9 p.m. Central. And this is day 20. Woohoo! Almost done. Wow, can you believe it? We're almost done with this entire series that we started back in October. Today is day 20 of our 21-day journey through module number 5. We're going to break down one of my most beloved topics, and that is how do we make people value you enough to follow you? Now, another way of saying that is, and you guys know when we do these shows and these studies, the ultimate goal, even though sometimes we get a little touch and go because we do have to discuss topics that evolve around like gender, race, topics that may be like religion, politics, that are sometimes uncomfortable. Tonight is not one of those topics, thankfully. Tonight we're going to talk about how to make people value you enough to follow you, or value you enough to follow you as you follow Christ, or how to actually live a life that preaches a message that inspires destiny. And, I think about people's lives that people that have inspired me throughout my life. And then I hear different testimonies of different people that are just so inspirational, that makes me want to be, a better man, if you will, make me want to step up to the plate. And then as a life coach and a peak performance coach, and you guys remember, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of different people all over the globe. Then that big opportunity I had with the company out in California, even though it didn't pan out, I still got a chance to be a part of all of the initial hiring process where I went through, did reports and counseling for, about 50 plus people, and got a chance to hear how their numbers are being expressed and not being expressed. I recently met, I told you guys about, a young lady that I met that went through some a double. I don't know if I think she's on the line as well. So Stephanie, I don't want to say too much of your medical information, but let's just say she went through a lot. And her name's Stephanie, and people like Stephanie, people like you, and everybody on this call, myself, our content is our being. Leadership is about being who you have been. The greatest way, the most powerful leadership aspect, because this is day 20 of our 21-day journey through module 5, and this is the last module that establishes us as individual expressions of God on earth, so we understand Psalms 84:11 when it says God is a sun and a shield, and Philippians 3:20 that tells us we are citizens of heaven, and we are here to do what Yahushua did, and we know that Yahushua represents, a person, place, and a position. Now, whether you believe in the parable and the narrative and the story, that's between you and God. At the end of the day, I'm interested in how is this applicable in your life? How is this going to make you a better human being? How's it going to make you a better father? Better brother, better son, better husband? How does this affect me? And how does this affect you? So as a leader, the most important thing as we get down to these are the last two messages. So we are now, everything that we've discussed since October of last year. We started this in October of last year. You guys remember when we started module 1? Day 1? It was the end of October, early November. And we went through the role of the governor. And we started with the word governor. And then we went to the word rule, the word control, the word manage, and now we're breaking down the word lead and leader. As a leader, brothers and sisters, you can preach a better sermon with your life than you can with your lips. And I posted it on my Facebook page today because I know a lot of good preachers as a retired or ex-preacher myself. I preached a lot of great sermons with my lips, but my life was forth from the words that I was saying, that I was expressing out of my lips. That is the reason why now I like to just document and share. That's my content. So when I'm driving around in my $100,000 Corvette, as I'm driving, I remember when I was homeless 8 times. And I remember the last time, although most will say, well, it was voluntary. I still ended up without a place to stay. Voluntary or not. But the point that I want to express to you is I can remember asking my son, who's not in the Navy, now in the Navy, for a ride, and he was busy, and I remember having to take the bus. And to see, this is not that long ago. I'm not talking about when I was in my 20s or my 30s. Remember, the light didn't come on to me until I hit 50. I'm what you call a slow processor. Was, anyway. So how do you make people value you enough to pay you? Now, let's be honest. I know a lot of people that are family and friends, and they'll take my courses or my books for free, but they won't pay. Now, the Bible says that a prophet is not welcome in his own hometown. That means that if I go home, they just remember the old short me that had the Napoleon complex, and I had the short man disease, and I was just an angry little dude. That's the guy that they remember. So they can't get the old me. They can't accept the new me. I like the TikTok video where it shows a guy who has a tuning forks, and they are 440 hertz. He brings over some tuning forks that are like 528. He hits the tuning fork that's 528. The tuning forks that are 440, they don't do nothing. Then he goes back and he brings out some tuning forks that are 440. He hits the tuning forks that are 440, they vibrate. And the tuning forks that are not touching, they start to vibrate too. That's leadership. So leadership is your life. There's attributes and characteristics in your life that you've already done. I just need you to document it. I just need you to share it. I just need you to talk about it. But we have a serious issue. The issue is most people were like I was. You're either suffering from, we're getting all into the medical terms, but I want to keep this very, GP. So you're suffering from some type of, either childhood or, God forbid, some type of, acute event that has taken place in your life that was, you can run the gamut of all the different things that take place in people's lives. Or you may have some type of a major life event that has taken place, whether it be divorce or you got, you lost your job. There is something that has left a negative imprint or an energy imprint in your soul. And that acute trauma has now turned into chronic. And that one-time event now has lingered, or there's been small events. You was in a bad marriage and you stayed, and the individual disrespected you for years. And at the time, you thought you was doing the right thing. And now you're stuck with all of that drama and that trauma. And that creates a negative habit pattern. And now your self-image is, no matter what I say to you, you don't see yourself. And we all talked about, my boy, the plastic surgeon, Marx, I think his name was, we was talking about the other day that in his book, Cybernetics, where he talks about you can repair somebody's externals. But if you don't deal with the internal, the external, they're just going to be a very good-looking, damaged soul. So you have to start within, because the kingdom of God is within. So the kingdom of God is within, well, the opposite of that is there too. So what I do for a living is unique. That is, I get to talk to people that are lied to themselves so long that they become delusional. Now, it's not intentional. Like, my delusion was not intentional. I didn't wake up and say, I want to be a, average father. I didn't wake up and say that I wanted to physically abuse my children, although that's what I did. Because my father physically abused me. So I just thought, that's the way, and that's really in the black culture. You grab a belt and we don't call it spanking, right? Black folks. My father didn't never tell me, hey, come on here, boy, I'm going to give you a spanking. No, that's not how I was raised. And most African Americans, if that's the term we go by these days, y'all know it changes every week. But whatever we go by these days, most black folks that I know, they was raised just like me. You got punched in the chest. Whatever your grandmother, mom and dad could find, that's what you got hit with. What does that do to a child? And then the words, oh man, the words cut deep. I would really get a beating again to have my grandmother just chop me down because she just said I was worthless, no good for blanky blank, just like my father. That's the number one reason why, thankfully, I don't drink. My father was an alcoholic, and my grandmother compared me to my father so much. I promised myself when I was 5 I would never drink. I would watch my father come home and beat the snot out of my mother. So as a leader, I have that negative habit pattern very deep down. And so guess what happens? That vibration, I'm unconsciously sending it out. And so if we don't deal with the life, we will continue to say things with the lips. So your life is more important than your lips. You can preach a sermon with your lips, but it's better to preach a sermon with your life. And you can reach people with your lips, but it's better and it's more powerful to reach people with your life. I want to read you an email. I get these once a week, at least, sometimes more. And I don't want to read this because it's like something that what I'm trying to, make myself look good. You guys know I'm an open book, probably too transparent, especially if you ask my ex-wife and my kids. But I know that my life, my testimony, is my story. And my story contains my glory. If I don't share my story, then I will not experience God's glory in my life. I won't have an impact because I'm not operating and being open and being honest and being transparent. And so the way to have an impact on people's life is just like money. Money is nothing but a vibration. That's what the CIA figured out with the whole, the gateway experience, with the Hennessy. They realized that energy established what is called entrainment. That's why when you do counseling, if you're not an alcoholic, your life doesn't match your lips. That's why you would never see me go into an area and use my lips to try to portray a life that I didn't live. Like the young lady I was telling you guys about, Sister Stephanie, who has a great, powerful story in the area that I don't have no idea. I've never had an organ transplant. I've never needed. Thankfully, I've always been in good health. I mean, I've had a lot of injuries from my football days. Broke my ankle, blew out my knee. Major concussions, broke my wrist. But other than that, I've been thankfully been very healthy. So I can't go into a hospital and talk to someone who suffers from cancer. Why? I'm not going to be able to establish what is called touch tone, meaning my frequency, my wave, my vibration, my energy. We talked about today, and we broke down the spinal cord. Hopefully you guys had a chance to tune in, and we talked about that the sacrum is the vehicle of consciousness. And your bones contain frequency, waves of vibration. Bones are slowed down tones. And we kind of went into some of the, Mesoamerican culture, the Aztecs, and the Incas. Your life has impregnated you, or your life has impregnated you with your consciousness. So you have been impregnated with unconsciousness or consciousness, depending on whether or not, as we talked about, that word kura, I forgot how, it's a Latin phrase that means physician, heal thyself. And based upon that understanding, you lead, my brothers and sisters, from a very fixed income. And that fixed income is based upon a fixed past paradigm, a program. Because you have been unconsciously impregnated with that past trauma. If you don't deal with that past trauma, you're going to identify with that ego or the past problem or the past trauma. And so the problem is we have to have been transformed by the renewing of our mind. That just means since my program is fixed, then my income is fixed. And the only way I know how to override that negative programming is with positive action. That's called living. So you can use your lips, but remember, the best sermon is not preached with the lips. The best sermon is preached with your life. So doubt can be overridden by action. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. So your job every day is to establish something that is called, what I call spiritual or emotional strength, to get rid of this illusionary truth that many of us have because of this predictive programming that we have all been exposed to. So what we got to do, we got to upgrade our awareness. We got to upgrade our consciousness. And the best way to do that is look at your past. Many of us, like myself, I was an emotionally immature parent. If that should be a psychological disorder if it's not. Because I know a lot of emotionally immature parents. And so unfortunately, because I was emotionally immature, my own children triggered me. Instead of me being in a place mentally to be able to provide them because they were hurting. But I was hurting. And so I did not deal with my unhealed childhood trauma. And so that came forward. And it's still bits and pieces that are buried, that are triggered by different events. But now I know how to process those childhood trauma when it pops up. So I don't have to spend the rest of my life trying to prove by being, remember we talked about, people that are overly nice, and we talked about the 5 mindsets. You guys remember the show we did back in the day where we talked about if you are a caretaker, if you are a perfectionist, if you are an overachiever, if you are an isolationist, you just kind of manage to always be alone and mess up every relationship by accident, but it's always the other person's fault, right? And then you are a fixer. So even people like me, why am I a life coach? It's like asking, like you go into childhood and you see a lot of pedophiles. Why are they working at daycare? Then in law enforcement, I was talking about this today earlier. It's amazing that everybody in law enforcement are usually sociopaths and psychopaths because they need a badge. They need a badge and a gun. Why? To make them feel like the man. Because they've always suffered from a negative habit pattern or self-image problem. There's the guys that got picked on when they was in high school. They had a hard time getting a girl. And so all of this, those type of people, which is really weird because that's exactly what they look for. They prefer to hire people who suffer from that inferior state of mind. Because I'm thinking that they're hoping that that person would make a better cop. Although it doesn't. And so to be a good leader, your job is to understand that you have to have what is called a single energy continuum. A single energy continuum is a term that's used by the Gateway Process and by the Monroe Institute. It was established by 1950s back with Dr. Robert Monroe when he was doing the whole Hennessy Gateway thing back in the 40s and 50s. And the Bible calls it a single standing or a single-mindedness. Like it says in the book of James, a double-minded man will not receive anything. So how do you make people value you? Do you know well, just speaking from my own personal experience, because there's a lot of stuff out there that says, oh, like, Kevin Samuels, that's recently passed away, which is, I'm still waiting for the stuff to come out on that. I kind of smell, I don't know. It's a little strange. So that's going to be interesting to see what really happened to Kevin Samuels. But his definition of a high value man, as you know, men that make over $400,000 a year and blah, 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 that has nothing to do with a high value man. You know what a high value man is? You know what makes me or makes you high value in my eyes? Value is the person who can get by with less, not more. See, value in the dominant culture in the world is the person who got, it would be where I'm at right now. I'm getting, $1 million house almost built, almost $1 million now. The thing keeps going up. I drive around a $100,000 car, got money in my pocket, life is good. So according to the world, that's value. Actually, value is the opposite. I had more worth in value when I was homeless and I had nothing. That's value. Value is the ability to have nothing and don't quit. Show me somebody who's been knocked out. I'm talking about cold. They took the smelling salt to bring your ass back. Show me an individual that has been drugged down. Drugged as in like somebody got you in a chokehold. They drag you not physically, obviously. I'm talking about just about life events. That's value. Value is when me and my brothers and sisters, the furthest back I can remember is like about 6 or 7. And a lot of stuff I can't remember. My brothers and sisters, we got all this family group and they tell me all the time, yeah, you don't remember that? I was like, nope, I don't remember that. Like, yeah, everybody remembers but me. Value has been raised the way I was raised and still being sound mind. Like, some of the things that happen to us as children shouldn't happen to no children, no child. And I think back now, I look at the kids that we talk with, what we call my bonus kids, Janai and Alec. And every time we're talking to them, I struggle all the time because I talk to them because I didn't get a bed of my own until I was active duty military. Went through boot camp, went through what we call A school, went through what we call infantry school, and then when I got to the barracks in Camp 18 Smith in Hawaii, that's the first time I got my own bed. That's kind of crazy. And it's not bad. I tell my wife all the time, it was just after Mother's Day. Like, shit, I be telling her, damn, you need another kid? I'm like, I wish she was my mama. My wife she's a damn good mother. When I say good mother, I have not seen no mother do what she does for her children. Thankfully, they know it. They tell her all the time. But all I'm simply saying is, when you've been down and you have the ability to bounce back, everybody on this call, we've done one-on-ones pretty much. You guys have been members of the Life Management System for the most part. I've heard most of you guys' personal stories. I think about Dr. Martinette and her story. I think about Dr. Span's story. Sister Stephanie, who I'll tell you guys about her story. A brand new member, Sister Martina story. I haven't heard Sister Sandra. We haven't really talked about Sister Sandra. I know you got a story. Sister Carolina. Man, Sister Carolina's story. Sister Cheryl West, Reverend Cheryl. J Money. And I heard J Money's story. We have a similar story, especially with our fathers. And I think that's why me and Brother Jasper has always bonded. Because, we have that desire of what got me sucked into the church that I was at. It was a black man that took interest in me. I never had that before. Put his arms around me and said, Man, here's something to do. I'm proud of you. The first time for a black man to show interest in another black man. I had not, that had never happened to me until I joined the church in my early 20s, and that's what got me. It wasn't God or religion. It was a man showed interest in me. I could always get interest in the opposite sex, but I never had a father. So the first man that put alongside of me and acted and had the energy of the father, the father figure, boom, I was gone. The nose was wide open. Now that is value. Value is leading with your life, not your lips. Now I like to talk. Y'all know, I can talk. I do 5, 6, I've done like 3 videos, did the show earlier today, did the show. I'm going to finish this one and probably do another TikTok video later on tonight. I can go pretty much non-stop. I like to talk. But I only talk about my life. Everybody on this call, I've been asking, I'm telling you guys, because the number one thing on the internet right now, we live in a world of content. Content is king. So your job is to put out content. But what kind of content? Well, right now we're suffering from basically disorders of consciousness. There's a lot of, disorders in the area of consciousness, especially from a psychological point when we look at the perception of what stimulates us. And, from the stimulant or the auditory to the brain, there's a lot of science and research that is coming out about the fact that, man, our perception of the stimulation of stimulus is really being bombarded. So we are all in an insufficient state of awareness. That's a psychological term that a lot of people don't even know that they suffer from. And so this insufficient state of awareness, sorry about that, is extremely, extremely important for you to be aware of. So that what that means? Well, that really means low awareness state. They call it ARAS. A lot of people suffer from low arousal. Now, I'm not talking about sexual. I'm talking about vibrational. Meaning, look what happened in World Star Hip Hop. Remember the knockout game? People can watch an old man in his 80s getting jumped by 5 teenagers, and nobody does anything. There's no way I could walk past an elderly person getting jumped and beat, even if it's at the expense of my own life. I just can't. I have a higher arousal state. In other words, I understand that my life and your life has value. Every life has value. So my job is to get you to see the value in your life so that way you can talk about it. Because right now, a lot of us, we prefer to write, research, and discuss content. But we're not interested in documenting and sharing our own. So tomorrow, everybody should turn on their cell phone after you wake up, shower, throw some water on your face, ladies, do your hair, look presentable, don't be coming out here with no stocking cap, walk around here looking like some Joe the Truth. I don't know, last time I said that, and Reverend Cheryl got really angry. So Reverend Cheryl, I'm not telling you negative about Joe the Truth. She was pissed. She texted me and said, I text the Joe. Reverend Cheryl, I'm not trying to diss Joe the Truth, Reverend Cheryl. That just landed popped in my head. Maybe I should have used somebody else. My bad. Woo, I remember that. Anywho, I was just saying, what if you documented your life? You know what everybody tells me? Doc, my life is boring. Do you know that I get paid for documenting my life? Do you know my most videos that get the most views is just videos like this, audios like this? When I jump in my car, when I'm out in the Airbnb, because we do family vacations, people are like, hey, who was that white lady over there? And I was like, oh, that was my ex-wife. So, you tell me that your ex-wife go on vacation with you and your current wife? Like, yeah. And you got to talk to my current wife because that's kudos to her disposition. I don't know many people that can pull it off. Her family says the same thing. My family says the same thing. Now my kids are older, obviously, so that helps. But what's the point? The point is, don't lead with your lips. Lead with your life. I will follow anybody that know where they're going. So will everybody else. If you show me your life and your life has the fruit or the result in it, or I see you, remember, success is a worthwhile pursuit, not the worthwhile achievement. Success is people will follow people who are in pursuit. So if you show me your plan, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to watch you. You wake up in the morning, you do this and that. You know, you may do some yoga, you may do some meditation, you know, you do some kind of cardio, you know, get out, do a little jog, get some weights, whatever. Then you get in your car, you drive to work, you check in. You know, if I look at your life, the step-by-step process that you live, if I see that is a worthwhile pursuit of a magnanimous process that leads to the fulfillment of your destiny or your purpose, bam, I will follow you. I'm going to join your TikTok. I'm going to join your Facebook group. I'm going to tune into your shows. Why? You are in the worthwhile pursuit of a magnanimous goal, a worthy goal. That's it. So success is about the implementation or the process. It's not about the destination. I mean, so many people now, I am so thankful that I reached when I started from homeless to I bought a Chevy Cruze. I told everybody I'm going to buy me a Corvette. And so the people who like Sister Diane who reminded me, Doc said, hey, I remember because I used to see your screensaver. When you was driving around in your Chevy Cruze, you was talking about getting your Chevy Corvette. Because that was just my own personal goal. Now you got one. So I'm in pursuit right now of other goals. What are those who know? I said, I'm in pursuit of 1K a day. That's how I play. Like, I'm in pursuit. So in my brain, I'm already there. So remember, the brain doesn't understand the difference between fiction and reality. So all materialization of reality, all material manifestation is based upon energy. So energy is the primary fuel, if you will. Energy of thought. And we're going to be breaking this down in the next series that starts on May the 16th, because I want to go really, really deep and really take the gloves off with this whole money thing. Now, remember I said a couple of shows ago that after today, you would have no more money problems. So if everybody listened and implemented what we were talking about, and I said, okay, after today, you will not have any more money problems. So money is a byproduct of helping people. Money is not a thing. Money is a byproduct. It's an afterthought. Money is the residue that's left over of value. So value is how you help people. Value is the result of being effective. Everybody on this call, I think it was Norman Vincent Peale or Earl Nightingale. It may have been Earl Nightingale back in my self-help days, who said that everybody, I forgot it was the numbers, but I know the numbers was like right about like 5%. So 5% of people when they reach the age of 65 are able to be what, we would call rich. Now remember, May the 15th, this is a leader. This is my goal for you. My goal is for you is to go through the 3 stages I'm going to be breaking down on May the 15th. And that series is called I Am Money or Be Money. Because money is a mental disposition. Most people have a mental disposition where they talk about paper money all the time. I want it, I don't have it. The next mental disposition, people talk about things, which is where I just left from. My goal was things. I want it, my vet, wanted house, wanted this, wanted that. So you guys remember everything I have in my life I wrote down years ago on a piece of paper. Just about everything. And I was in the stage of rich. So poor people talk about money. Rich people talk about things. Wealthy people talk about ideals. Now remember, wealth is a mental disposition where your brain is consumed with ideals. That's wealth. Money is a mental disposition where your brain is consumed with the acquisition of things. Poverty is a mental disposition where your brain is consumed with paper money. Getting money. Hey, I got to get some money back. I got to get paid, bro. So which stage or which state are you in? None of them are bad. You should have been through all three. Everybody starts off at stage one. That's the material level. Then you go to stage two. That's what, we can talk about the physical, we can talk about the soul, we can talk about the spiritual. So the physical level, stage one. The soul, mind, will, emotion, manifestation, and intelligence, that is the second level. The third level is the spiritual level. That is a ruling disposition. That is what your life is made up of. So when you are not ashamed, when you are not, I don't know if shame is the right word, when you're not confident, because, I didn't want to talk about ideals like the People Development Center when I was homeless. Although when I started the first organization, the Eagles Club, 25, 30 years ago, it was an ideal. Now it's the same thing. I just do the same thing. You guys know I kind of rebrand it or retitle it or what is called repurposing, which is another one of my strategies for 21 streams of income. You rebrand old shows, old systems. If it worked 5 years ago, it'll work today. Last year I talked about the life management system. This year I'm talking about the people development system. Same thing. I'm just adding a little bit more content to the old content. Each year I'm adding a little bit more, but I keep the base system. I just add some new stuff, rebrand it, retitle it, and monetize it. That's wealth. Wealth is an ideal, but it's an ideal that never leaves the brain. Wealthy people are almost haunted by purpose. Because, see, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. I love talking to people who have an ideal burning down in their soul. And remember, you don't get to choose your ideal chooses you. Remember Dr. Strange, his jacket, his cloak? No, you don't choose your purpose. And I told you guys, I didn't choose to be a master teacher 33. I didn't want to, this wasn't my purpose. This is what when I was young growing up, I thought I was going to be, football. Once I realized that football was out, man, I went into real estate. Remember, I told you guys, way back in the day, I bought and sold over $1 million worth of real estate. I wanted to go on to become a million. That was back in the day when, to get rich quick and no money down stuff was big. That was my dream, to become a real estate mogul. Then I got saved, I got a little Jesus, a black man noticed me and said, hey, here's something to do. And I was gone. So I dropped everything and I was going to save the city for Jesus. That was our motto. And I was downtown San Antonio, passing out tracts, and cursing out homeless people. Said, you're going to go to hell. Oh, man, J Money should have been there, bro. Should have been there, J Money. You missed it. It was the good old days, J Money. It was the good old days. That was a box of rocks. Because why? Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. But I didn't know what leadership was. I didn't understand that value is not what you can live with. Value is what you can live without. Your true worth and your true value is determined by if you woke up tomorrow morning and you lost everything, what would you do? There's a lot of folks, remember back when Enron happened? They woke up and their life savings was gone. What'd they do? This fool's jumping off bridges. There was people exiting this planet because their life savings was gone. Me? Shit, I can start it over. I done went like I did last time. I done went down there and found me a blood plasma place like I did last time I was homeless. Remember, I did shit 8 times. $40 a week, shit, that's good money. Now, I hear something like $100 a week. Sometimes I just get tickets to go down just to give blood plasma, get my $100 just to relive my old glory days. Don't be looking at me like that. The wife is looking at me crazy. So I never forget where I came from. That's what I'm saying. So your true value is you don't never forget where you came from. My true ministry is for the people who was there when I was at the bottom. That's your ministry. That's your purpose. That's your destiny. So what was your lowest point? See, your lowest point, I call it your most pressing problem. That is your most profitable product. So let me ask you again, as leader, you're a leader. That's why you're here tonight. We're talking about leadership. So most leaders, they like to talk about that. I'm one of the top men. I tell women that had been through some like crazy stuff. It was in this crazy marriage, man. Dude beat the snot out of him. They went back and he did that. And then he tried to kill her and all this stuff. And then she made it. She got out. And she don't want to talk about it. She want to go back to university. That's bad memories, Doc. I ain't trying to go back down there. He raped me and, this happened. He put my forehead through the TV and all this stuff. I said, that's a 13, 14-year-old kid right now who can't pick up the signals of that narcissistic, arrogant, cocky, Napoleon complex dude that she's with. She thinks that love. And the only person who can reach her is you. But you don't want to talk about it. See, the problem is we don't like talking about our skeletons in our closet. Like, I want to talk about driving around in my convertible Corvette. I want to post up pictures of my new house I'm getting built. I want to show y'all that I'm here. I'm getting ready to go down to the beach. I'm gonna show you my beach body, show off my abs and my chest. Walk around half naked so the wife can be pissed off. And I'll be posting up my TikTok videos. I know I'm just playing. But what's the point, Doc? What's the point? The point is, like all you guys know, I've never heard TD Jakes. Not that he does, because I don't listen to all his methods, or he doesn't. I just don't hear the big time guys talking about their flaws. They're always posting up about their successes. Now, let's not get it twisted. I like success too. But my most pressing problem is my most profitable product. My most pressing problem was purpose. My most successful product is Dead Community Report. Why? There's a bunch of young men and women who walking around right now who don't have a clue what they should do tomorrow. Every morning I wake up, I don't have a plan. I don't write nothing down. I mean, I used to have dream boards and goals and maps and all that stuff. So you just starting, I'm not saying there's something wrong with that because I started there too. But it's like telling the truth. You don't have to remember what you said yesterday if you said the truth. So if I ask you, hey, what you did yesterday and you lied, you got to remember, man, what did I tell him yesterday? But if what you told me yesterday was what you lived yesterday, you just got to remember, okay, what I do? Okay, yesterday I went to Walmart. I bought this, that, and the other. I came home. I worked out, watched the movie, blah, blah, blah. Why? That's my life. So your life is your testimony. Your life is your message. So if you want to be a leader, you got to talk about your life. Oh, so what does that mean when you say talk about it? Well, that means you got to document it. Oh, snap. So I got to share. Yep, you got to share your share. That's what the Greek word that gives us the English word destiny and diakonia comes from. It means medros, to share your lot, your share in your destiny. So I'm not going to follow you if you don't follow yourself. I ain't going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. I'm not going to like you if you don't like you. Like everybody on this call, I be telling you all the time, man. Like, man, y'all are gods and goddesses. Everybody on this call. Everybody on this call, because remember, I see your true worth and value. I see the way God designed you. I don't see what you see. So I see your proper self-image because I have access to your numbers. And I know the frequency wave of vibration that is unconsciously being exuded. But you have something written over the top of that called a negative habit pattern. So the negative habit pattern is written on top of your life-sustaining pattern. Now that's module 1 and module 2 of my life management system. And every new client I get, and they come to me and they tell me, like, now, there's one client that was in a relationship very, very long time. And the relationship is starting to get rough. And the client is wondering what's going on. Like all 99.999% of my clients, that when they start the process, the husband is like, I ain't talking to that dude. Because the wife is desperate to try to save the marriage. And the men, like when me and my wife broke up, she suggested it. I was like, are you serious? Like, I do this for a living. I'm going to talk to who I'm going to talk to. That's every man, whether he do this for a living or not. It's like stopping and asking for directions when we lost. That means I have to admit that I'm wrong. I can't do that. All men, we are at the same time. That's what that is. So men don't listen to women, even though we should, ladies. So I have to kind of get out of the way and just let us crash and burn. Then when we get up and scrape our, wipe our knees off, it might take us, especially if they are if they got a really thick skull like me, they might have to hit that brick wall a couple of times before the light comes on. So you just kind of get out of the way. You should not get in the car with them and hit that wall because you love them. You just get out and don't go ahead and drive head on into that wall. Then you just be there for them, if they come around. If not, you just go on to the house and eventually the light will come on. Or if they really, really dense, there'd be somebody else's partner. And you would have dodged the bullet. But the point is, all of that just happened, guess what? That's your life. But you're like, Doc, I don't want to talk about that. That's my past, brother. Well, your past, that's where your cash. Your cash is in your past. So that's what I did. I went back to my past and I got my cash. That's how I pay all my bills. I pay my bills. I get my cash from my past. What I'm talking to you about right now, that's all this is in the past. Because that was where I found value. So you guys remember we talked about the word value. Man, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. It was when we did the Gamma brainwave manifestation. We broke down the word value. Remember, it meant vibrate authentically in love, uniqueness for eternity. VALUE. So if you want to be a leader and you're listening to me tonight, you're already a leader, first of all, because you can't listen to me talk for an hour and a half most nights and not be a high vibrational, spiritual, phonon being. Not possible. You would have been disconnected because them dispositions, that's a more benevolent term for them demons. Them dispositions that want to maintain the old control matrix, the old swindle, troll, demon, the demons that swindle. They want to keep you oscillating and vibrating according to the old Jehovah contract based upon Lucifer or luminescence or luminescence ether that we talk about all the time because that's how magic or the magi or magnetic works. So your job is to do what? Become one. Hero is where the Lord your God is one. That means you become a single standing column of waves. That means that all of your waves are in alignment. Now, I'm going to be breaking down at the next series that I'm running concurrently with the series on Be Money. So we're going to be talking about how to concurrently align your vibration. Because the new science that has nothing to do with scalar, toroidal, or quantum physics is the new science of ATUM, ATUM. Not even out yet. Somebody will publish it. I know NASA, I got to find something. It's always out. But the new science shows how we've been not lied to, but Newtonian physics is dead. So if you really look at the Earth is what they call a flat plane, and above the Earth is, just like in my book, toroidal energy, there is an apple, basically. And below the Earth, there's another apple, basically. Now, toroidal energy, remember, it goes, the energy makes a circle. It's like two circles. It's toroidal. It's a donut. Y'all know, see, like a donut has a hole in the middle? In the middle, with a hole in the middle, that's the flat Earth. So around the Earth is what they call the ice wall. Now, all this text, I've done many shows on this, so I'm not into the debate because really it's not flat or round. It's a dome. Yeah, I know. Okay, don't take me a copy. Like, but doc, I know, brother. I know. It's okay. We're on the same page. We're saying the same thing. The point is, well, atoms are exactly the same. So we are atoms inside of atoms. An atom is an atom, an ATOM, inside of Christ. And Christ is an atom, ATOM, inside of Source, or the Father. And we could keep going to infinity and beyond. So what do you say? Well, science has figured out how perpetual energy, what Tesla knew. Meaning, if all of your atoms, all atoms have a due north and a due south, they're just not in alignment. So remember we said, I've been saying for 25 years, that all problems is the misappropriation and the misapplication of funds. You got the money, you just misapplying it. Or you just misappropriate it. You taking it and spending it. You going to the strip club and making it rain instead of paying your bills. But you got the money, because remember, we live in a world of abundance. So there's no such thing as lack, because lack is an abundance of nothing. But an abundance of nothing is something. So we live in a world of abundance. So when you have a disease, you have an abundance of uneasiness, and it manifests in the body in the form of a disease. But it's still abundance. So we got to get we get rid of the disease, according to, remember the guy, Dr. Henry Wright, the book, It's Still a Way, that breaks down, and remember Roy Raymond Wright, that remember he cured all disease with his frequency weapon? Remember, Dr. Sabi and who talk about getting rid of the mucus out of the body and making the body alkaline and all this stuff. So all of this stuff is what? It's putting the electrons, because that's really what it is, the positive charge, in alignment. In other words, this is structure. So you have to structure the crystal lights or the magnetites in the body. So you got magnets or magnetites in the blood. You got a bunch of magnets and magnetites in the brain. That's why birds know which way to fly. They have magnetites. Well, they come to find out that the blood gets clustered. This is high blood pressure, hypertension. Now, there's a lot of other reasons, blah, blah, blah. But basically, your heart is pushing, your main aorta is pushing the blood down, but your gut has anxiety, so it's pushing blood up. That slows the blood down. So really, now you can add diet and all stuff, but really, the main cause of a lot of hypertension, stress and anxiety. All of the gurus who understand energy, if you go to the East, they know how to cure all your energy blocks by understanding what created the energy blocks. So let's get rid of the anxiety. How do you get rid of anxiety, Doc? Well, the Bible calls it peace. So leaders have something that non-leaders don't have. I maintain a state of peace. That way I'm able to inspire, inform, and influence. How do I maintain a state of peace? Like you, issues pop up in my life. What do? Number one, I do my warrior breathing, rescue breathing, Wim Hof breathing. Just throw a name on it. You do your breathing. That's the new one. That gets the breath into the body. Then the series I did on the show I did on divine guidance. Basically, how do you stay connected with God? Well, you align your mind with your desire. Brothers and sisters, it's very important. Jesus knew who he was. Jesus knew why he was here. That's the secret to success. Now, I said a lot of different ways I do. All I do is show, I say the same shit over and over again, just in different ways to try to reach different people. When I was 13, and I left my father's house, and I put everything that I owned in a suitcase, which is 2 pair of pants, 2 shirts, 1 pair of socks, 3 pair of underwear, and I left. First place I went was to a woman who was a prostitute. And nobody in that town liked, but she was always nice to me. Always. She always said, oh, yeah, you with this boy. She always liked me. I went to her house. She had 3 daughters. I moved in. Unfortunately, she was a prostitute. You kind of know where the story went from there. So I remember I had already been sexually molested before that by a family member in my grandmother's house, multiple times, every time they came over. So I think that's why she was attracted to me, because of the energy that I had, because I'd already been sexually active, if you will. So all of the older dudes didn't like that this lady took one of her arms and was taking care of me. So I got jumped a couple of times, and then the daughters started hitting on me too. But I was already hanging out with the mama, even though I was 13. So I put my shit in the bag again. I went to my friend's house. It was a really good friend of mine. I'll tell you guys that who his mom still is a preacher to this day. Still taking in little kids. Still doing the same thing. I couldn't believe it. She's it is amazing. Last time I went down to her house, it kind of broke my heart, but man, when I was there, she had 13 people in the house. She's still doing the same thing. Emma Shorts. And that's why that's the woman who raised me. I pretty much was on my own, but at least I had a place to sleep. The reason I'm saying that, brothers and sisters, is because I came from a place where nobody knew who they was. Nobody knew why they were there. Everywhere I go, I talk to, especially black men, and I ask them, what's your purpose? Why are you here? What can you do better than anybody else? Or what can you do that is so good, people are willing to pay you for it? Do you know that 99% of the people I talk to can't answer that question? I don't care what age they are. Can you answer the question? There are people who've been in this program for years and they still can't answer this question. So if anybody on this call was to ask me, why are they here? Or let me say that, who they are and why they are here. Because that creates stability. So I can tell anybody, if you give me your name and your date of birth, you can be a total stranger. The 2 new clients I got today, first client I told her exactly who she was. All I did was the name and date of birth. And she was like, damn, how did you know? But I always know that most people are operating in the dark side of the giftedness. So I already know if you're one, you are following that guru because you're a leader. So everybody does the opposite. That's the trick. So when I tell you to go out and make a YouTube video and you follow somebody else who makes YouTube videos, what are you going to say? Well, actually, I can't make a YouTube video, but I'm camera shy. I ain't say shit about you being on the camera. You can hire somebody. Yeah, you can take a picture. You can get a can of refried beans and talk about that. Put that on the camera. You can do pencil art. You can get your kids. So you can hire the neighbor. But immediately the brain will offer up a reason why you can't. Everybody has a self-image problem. Even me. Otherwise, I'd be hanging out with Joe Bezos right now. Because I'm just as valuable as Bezos and all of the other 1%ers. But I have fixed principles just like you. Fixed principles equals a fixed income. So your job and my job is, number one, you have something that has a high barrier of entry. Somebody should write this down. You have a gift that has a very high barrier. Everybody can do you. You don't see no value in it, but like I tell people like Sister Addie all the time. Now, I've been telling Sister Addie since she didn't remember, right, Sister Addie? Sister Addie did it and didn't make $1 million immediately, so she stopped. My boy Richie Rich, well in Vietnam, I tell him at least my boy did the Rich at me. He's faithful with the TikTok videos. You guys, make sure you guys, Richard Snyder, make sure you guys give him some love on TikTok, on Facebook. Because guess what? He's doing videos every day. And I've noticed that he's slowly getting, now he's been doing videos off and on. Sister Cheryl West, same thing. Sister Cheryl got a book out, so everybody should have Sister Cheryl West book at MentalNet. If you guys do not have a book, please support Sister Cheryl West. Pick up a copy of her book, MentalNet. Please. And she's all over the internet. And the website is just mentalness.com. The word mental and nance for maintenance. Mental maintenance. Where she breaks down mentalism. Why? Because that was a big milestone. It took a lot for her to put her thoughts on a piece of paper. And I assisted her with putting her thoughts onto paper. That's step one. So now the next step. How does she monetize it? Well, she has to use the book to talk about her life every day. When she gets in the car and she's driving to work, she should take out a book, pick out one page and say, and open up the book while she's, well, maybe not while you're driving, it's the show, but when she put up in the parking lot, she should go to, take the camera, put it on page 31. Page 31 talks about the biology of fear. And then it goes on and talks about how we should not be afraid to be and operate in our real self and not allow our own mind to attack us. Then she has some quotes in that from other authors and blah, blah, blah. How do I know? Well, I got a copy of a book. What's the point? The point, brothers and sisters, is, number one, the barrier of entry is Cheryl West. What does that mean? Is there anybody on this call that was with Sister Cheryl when she was a kid? Nobody. So you can't be Cheryl West. You can read her books, you can regurgitate her stuff, but you ain't Cheryl West. Just like Miles Monroe was my mentor. But I can't be Miles Monroe. I am not from the Bahamas. We probably about, we about the same height. That's about it. Miles Monroe speaks, I don't know how many languages you guys know he's not over here, but when he taught us, the dude was fluent in I don't know how many languages. He did the whole worship service. He played the piano, he played the guitar, he played the saxophone, and the dude could sing. Speak multiple languages. The most talented man I've ever met in my life. And you know how he went out. Strange. So number one, barrier of entry. Number two, proprietary. Number one, you have a barrier around you where nobody can enter unless you let them in. So nobody can punk you unless you give them the keys and you allow them. Nobody can disrespect you unless you let them, because there is a barrier around you. Big G is protecting you. That's number one. That's why you got to be authentic. Number two, you are a proprietorship, meaning your information that you have in your head is proprietary. What does that mean? The only person who got it is you. But there's only one you. The only person that got your fingerprint is you. So when I heard, Sister Stephanie's story, I never heard no story like hers. And then Sister Stephanie explained some of the things that, some of the obstacles, especially from the physician point of view and how the physicians really, because none of the physicians have had to go through any type of an organ transplant surgery. They do the surgery, but they never had the surgery. So how that work? So how much empathy, sympathy, compassion do they have? Very little. To them, you're just a paycheck. That's just a job. So that, what she has, is proprietary. That's why it's so powerful. Because everybody else on the planet immediately, remember I said the story about the 20 forks, everybody else that has organ transplant surgery, they all vibrate on the same frequency. They all are going to be attracted to her. So when they get attracted to her, and if what if Sister Stephanie don't have a course? What if she don't have a book? What if she don't have a product, service, or information? They're gonna be drawn to her, but then they're not gonna do. She got to do what I used to do. You got to give them, because you ain't got no product. You need to give them peanuts or food nanny, because you're supposed to have purpose. Because I'm attracted to you, but I don't know why. So when people come to you and they're attracted to you, and you ain't got no product, no service, no information, they ain't leaving because they don't know why they're attracted to you. They just like, man, I don't know, it's something about you, I can't explain it. And they think it's your big teachings or the like thereof. Now that may be a little bit that may be the initial attraction, but they stay because of purpose, not penis or poo nanny. So you need a product. You need a service. You need information. Now, I don't know nobody better than taking out product, service, information than me. I've offered my help. We've done shows. We've done the whole build a business. So anybody needs help with product production, you guys already know. I do a book a day. The show I did the other day, I turned it into a book. How? I told you guys, go to red.com, take the audio, turn it into text, put pictures on there, and bam, ebook is done. I can do it in a day. You can too. Because we already went through that. So everybody has proprietary information, and that leads to number 3, profit. That's what you can't devote. You are a walking, talking, breathing ATM machine. Why? You have something called a life. You got a heartbeat. You're still alive. You are still in the land of the living. It's a privilege to be in the land of the living. Somebody didn't wake up this morning, man. Please, brothers and sisters, I wasted time with my daughter, Shamora. I took my time getting to this place because I thought I had time. If Kobe Bryant was here, I'm sure Kobe Bryant would tell you. Kobe Bryant and I think it was his oldest daughter. Man, are you serious? His daughter was probably like Shamora, maybe 19. My 19-year-old daughter's not here. So I'm living for her and I'm living for me. Every day. That's why to me sleep is an inconvenience. Because I want to work. I'm highly motivated because I'm living for 2 people. Because my daughter did not get a chance to have a life. Because her daddy was getting his shit together and it took him too long. So brothers and sisters, I don't know how much time you think you got to write your book, to have an impact on the world, to leave your legacy. Not that shit even matters, but just for you to be free, for you to be able to get in your convertible Corvette and drive down the street, put gas in your car. I don't give a damn what the gas prices are. You outproduce the problem. So if it costs $100,000 to live, you generate $200,000. If it costs $200,000 to live, you generate $300,000. So I don't care what they do. Tell me what you do. Tomorrow we're going to wrap it up with day 21. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank God for you. Y'all already know I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I'm going to see y'all at the top. God bless.